I've just listed the aim up there of what we're aimed to achieve. Very simple principle in putting the art up on there, but as I'll go into further, there's a number of factors that I'd encourage any other councils to consider if they're wanting to go ahead with a similar type of project, whether it's on a Vic Road signal box or another type of state-owned asset. And we've chosen to pilot painting 10 signal boxes with the idea that the project could be incorporated in our next graffiti management strategy as an ongoing action that we'd like to roll out. We have actually been in conversation with Vic Road since 2009 about this type of project. So it was a quite extensive process of ensuring that we were very clear with each other about what the resources we were both bringing to the project and the guidelines and the expectations from Vic Roads about how the art would be applied, how the ongoing maintenance would be scheduled, traffic management, a whole gamut of technical processes there. And it's very important to get those processes clear before you, I would say even before you start doing your grant application, because otherwise with a 6-month time frame for project delivery, you might be spending half of that time, if not more, having those conversations. So there is a lot of merit in really having those, and they can be frustrating conversations. You know, I think that's obvious, but it's also understanding that for Vic Roads this might not be it's not their core business in terms of supporting a community art project. However, they do see a lot of benefit for them in partnering in this work. So I just say keep persisting, and also them if you're from an area of council where talking about traffic management and TSBs isn't your core business, then I'd really encourage you to work with your transport management area, because so Darebin, for example, we've got 142 traffic signal boxes and 26 of them are actually council assets, so we maintain them. But our transport management team were great in terms of giving us some steps to work through with Vic Road, so we were kind of speaking the same language, because that's not my core business, and you know I'm not a transport engineer, but it was great to have their support. And one thing that they did also prepare for us, which was completed by a student they had on placement, was they actually audited every single 142 traffic signal box and produced a report that specified the distance it was from the road, because that's a huge consideration in terms of the traffic management you might need, whether or not there was existing graffiti on it, who it was owned by, and a number of factors. So we had that resource on hand so we could quickly go to Vic Roads and give them, you know, the asset numbers and all that type of stuff that they were wanting to hear about. The other internal department that was really supportive for this project is our arts and culture area, because this is obviously a mixture between a graffiti prevention but also a public art project, and they've got a lot of experience and a lot of resources in looking at how to go about developing a public art project that's consistent with council's guidelines and approach to public art, and working with the community, and also working with potentially paid artists. And of course the other partnerships are with our community, whether that's through community groups or agencies, and of course Victoria Police, who are very supportive of our work in Darebin. Selecting the signal boxes, as I mentioned, we were lucky to have a document that outlined all the details, but I'd really encourage people to think carefully about the boxes they might want to select to paint, or any other asset for that matter, because each individual box will bring with it a different cost. So if it's located in a really highly visible location, which is often where most of the tags occur, you want to factor in some additional costs around potentially some traffic management that will be required for safe access to paint that space. And you know, one of the things we had to weigh up was around, for our initial project, and I mean, we were lucky, not lucky, but most of our signal boxes were tagged, so we could take a pick of any of them. But we had to weigh up around, for our pilot project, are we going to target the most visible boxes that are on the, all the activity centres, or are we going to try for some which are more accessible to us, but that still have a high incidence of graffiti and also quite a high level of people, whether it's pedestrian or cycling traffic or road traffic. And for us, the St George's Road corridor became a really good fit. So have a think about that, and for your council, that needs to be considered when you're actually putting in your budget to the Department of Justice. So if they do come back, and Elizabeth did and said, the costing around traffic management, and you can have that conversation around that, the cost benefit of choosing a higher risk in terms of the traffic management, but a location that's consistently been tagged and is very visible to the community. So it can give them a sign as well that council's actually working in this space. Another thing to consider is whether or not you manage your project in-house, or if you might pay an external consultant. So there is some agencies and organisations that manage traffic signal boxes, and we've spoken with them in the past, but we made the conscious decision to manage our project in-house, and the reason being is that it gives us a greater sense of control and knowledge of the ins and outs of our project, and we know our community better than an external consultant. So our project's being managed by the community safety officer in our team, and one of the greatest wins from that management is that he's been able to link in with other groups and organisations that he's already working on in community safety related projects to bring them into this project. So for example, we have a youth summit each year, and last year the theme was on safety, and one of the projects the students wanted to do was to adopt a train station and improve the amenity of that train station. So working with William Ruthen High School on Ruthen Station, we've actually been able to select a signal box for them that they can work on that's in very close proximity to the station. So it increases their involvement and engagement with council and continues to build that relationship with the school. One thing that is always a consideration for us in Darebin is with these type of projects, that we have to be very clear about whether we're opening up a project to the community to participate in, or whether we're seeking professional artists to be paid to complete a piece of work, because we have a very large artist community, and our policy is that we don't expect professional artists to do work for us for free. So you need to be very clear not to blur those lines, and that's where your arts and culture department can guide you in that direction, so that you're not working in a way that's conflicting any of their practices or the relationships and networks that they've established. But we've also decided to commission some of the boxes as well, because we want to get some of the boxes visible to the community to actually maybe spark some more ongoing interest. Okay, integrating your projects. As I mentioned, it's had a nice link with our Adopt a Station project, but given the timing and our launch into a new graffiti model across council, and a new budget and a new graffiti management action plan, it's a great opportunity to trial this and get it on council's radar as a project that we could look at continuing as one component of our use of street art and community art to design out graffiti. What we have chosen is that we've said to the community that we'd like them to submit designs that focus on the local history and character of the area, cultural diversity. So themes and messages that are consistent with our policies on various areas. And I think that something like the traffic signal box should never look at this project just in isolation as putting street art on to prevent graffiti, because it can actually link into and add benefit to other projects, but it can also be a visual way of representing some of your other policy areas. So what we're looking at the moment is for a traffic signal box that we've selected in Reservoir, that's right at the front of our police station and right at the front of the customer service centre, is doing a theme around that one on the White Ribbon campaign, which is the social marketing campaign around preventing violence against women.